Hey everybody, this is me, Undead Viking, and this is Rise of Man Stone Age. Rise of Man Stone Age is a card drafting game. I love card drafting games. In this card drafting game, you'll be using tons of different resource cards to slowly build up your tribe during the Stone Age. And you'll actually be using the cards to build up off of the top of each other. So like certain ones will give you resources that will allow you then to play bigger and stronger cards later. And of course, since it's a card drafting game, like you might have to play one of those early cards and you pass it off to the person, and then you kind of hope that the card makes it all the way back to you, and then you get to put it in your hand and put it back down. And so there's all kinds of fun decisions. One of the greatest things about card drafting is always that tough decision when you're looking at all the different cards that you have available, and you like really like this one, and you really like this one, and you really like this one. You have that really, really tough decision over which card you're going to take and which card you're going to offer up to the person that is next to you. And you know that they're going to like see it. They're like, "Oh, this card's great, thanks a lot." And you're like, like that. But that's one of the things I really love about card drafting. So let me show you how the game is played. It is relatively straightforward, but it has a lot of depth, and then we'll come back here and I'll give you my final thoughts. Alright, cool. This is Rise of Man Stone Age. Let me show you what you're looking at, and then I'll tell you how you play the game. Okay, this is a card drafting game, and you're going to be using tons and tons of cards while you play. There's also some other stuff that you might be seeing in front of you, like this board. You're wondering what that is. What's this little flip book here? I'll explain it all here in just a second. These are the resource cards. These are the main cards you will be using during the game. You start each turn with 10 of these cards. You'll be choosing one, and then you'll be passing the rest to another player, and those decks will slowly circulate and go around the table. If you played card drafting games, you're probably well familiar with that mechanism. These are obstacle cards. Each turn you'll be getting one of these cards. I should say in turns 1, 2, 4, and 5, you'll either be getting one obstacle card or one hazard card. It is the player's choice. Hazard cards are more difficult to defeat, but you get one extra victory point for defeating them. During turn 3, you'll get 2 of these cards. You're able to mismatch, or you can take 2 hazards, 2 obstacles, whatever. You can take 2 of those. There are also these wild cards over here, and you can choose to take a wild card on your turn if you don't have a resource card that you want to play. I'll explain all of that as well in just a quick moment. Now, I mentioned this board in the middle. These are special events. As you play the game, you will earn or have certain levels of resources or have access to certain keywords that will unlock certain things that are on this board that you're able to take. I'm just going to pick one of these up here so you can kind of see it. So you'll see on each one of these there is like a number on here, like Care of Elderly, and it's worth 2 victory points. So any 3. So if you have a Buckthorn, Chickweed, Devil's Claw, and so forth, any 3 of those, if you have 3 of them, you would be able to put a token on there and you're able to claim that, and then it's worth the victory points at the end of the game. So you just take it and go like that to show that you've achieved that victory. You have 8 of these tokens. You can only collect 8 of those. So it might be something where you might want to hold out and save up your tokens for the higher ones, like this 4, Shelter, or you can cash in for quick and easy points as well. More than one person can be on these locations. When you're playing with 2 to 4 people, you can only have 2 people per spot. With 5 or 6, you can have up to 3 people per spot. But once it's locked up, obviously you can't add it at that point. Alright, so each person is going to get this little flip book. The flip book has all the different types of resources, and as you gain them, what you're going to do is you're going to add those. You just flip the book like so to show the increase in resource as you go along. That is, there's no like resource, like you don't have like food meeples or anything like that. You're just going to use the flip book for that. These skulls and these stars are the victory points you get for, or negative victory points you get for achieving either your obstacles or your hazards. As I said, you get an extra victory point if you complete a hazard. Hazards are more difficult than obstacles. I'll show you those cards in just a little bit. These are worth 3 if you achieve them. Those are worth 2 if you achieve them. Both of them are worth negative 2 points if you do not succeed in taking care of those. Alright, so at the beginning of each turn, there are 5 turns in the game, in which case in each turn there are 6 rounds. During each round of the game, you'll take one of the cards that you have You'll pick one, put it face down, wait for everybody else to get ready, and then you'll turn that card over. You'll either use the card, the resource, to get more resources and have access to other things. I'll explain that also in just a quick moment. Or instead of using a resource, you can draw one wild card. I'll show you those in a moment as well. Or you can take your token and claim a spot on the board if you can show that you have the resources needed to claim that spot on the board. At no point, if you choose to take a wild card or choose to use one of these tokens, do you get to also get the resources. You give up your ability to use the resources, but you still get rid of the card, because you are going to be handing the rest of the cards off to the next person. During rounds 1, 2, 4, and 5, you will hand these cards, the remaining cards, to the person on your left. On round 3, you'll be handing them to your right. Alright, so at the beginning of the turn, before you even choose any of these, you're going to choose one of these cards. So here we just take an obstacle card for the first turn. We have food transport. It says food obstacle. Your tribe needs to be able to carry food longer distances. By the end of the first turn, I need to have 3 food and 0.5 predator resources. So I'm just going to put that down there to show that I need that. And then this is the flip book that I'll add to it after I choose these different cards. Okay, so now let me show you these resource cards. Resource cards will have different types of resource, like this is a tree resource, that's a fish resource, and so on and so forth. They'll have these different types of resources that you'll be able to turn in. Now, each one of these resources will have, up on the top, what you'll gain by using this resource card. So if I use this one, you can see I'm going to get 0.5 food, I'm going to get 0.5 predator, and I'm going to get 0.5 health. I won't get anything in environment or in tribal in those situations. But I only need 0.5, remember, predator, so this would actually satisfy that for the first round. These the obstacles or whatever, stick with you. So like in the next turn, if I take another obstacle, and here we have tribal expansion, it's a food obstacle, here's 3 more food and 0.5 tribal, you add that to the one that you already have. So you don't like reset your resources. So now, at the end of turn 2, I'm going to need 6 food, 0.5, and so I'm pretty sure you follow that. So, alright, so anyway, put that back there. So you're choosing these. Not only does, with the pecan tree, does it give me those resources, but it also gives me access to rope, wood, and nut. So it has like an added bonus where it's going to give me access to certain things that will then be able to be used later on. So now moving a little forward, here we have a clam. Clams will give me 0.5 food, 0.5 tribal, gives me shells, and then this blue bar here, that's the different like special events, these spots here, that this could possibly unlock for me. Like say on the pendant, or like you can see this necklace up here, one of the things that this necklace needs, it says it needs shells. So if I wanted to take that spot, here I have these clams, I have the shells, I've satisfied one of those things. Now, here's saw making skill. Now this is a skill card. You'll notice that it doesn't give us any of these. It gives us some nice bonuses here. However, you'll notice that there is antler or bone. I need to have already claimed a resource card that's giving me antler or bone before I can play this saw making skill. You might notice that there's this little 5+ over here. That is how many players you have. So this card will only be used if you have 5 or more players. If you had 4 players, you would not put this card into the deck. All right. So so salmon needs wood. So let's look at it this way. So if I'd have to have played a pecan tree before I could claim salmon. So then, you can see how that follows along. Alright, so one other thing is, however, like I couldn't use the pecan tree for like rope, wood, and nuts. I could only use one of them when I'm playing another card. So if I had a card that needed both wood and rope, I couldn't point to the pecan tree and say, look, I've got a pecan tree, it's giving me both wood and rope. That wouldn't work. I'd need to have something else that gave me one of the other ones. You can't use multiple of those. Now, you never use these up. So don't get away from that. But I mean, but when you play a card, you have to be able to show that you have access to all of those things. All right, so like here's like a really good card, like Flint. It gives you 1.5. There's no prerequisite, and so as you play this game, you're going to kind of learn different cards that have different things that they give you. But like tree is always a good thing to put down. So everybody puts their card face down. You all reveal. When I reveal that, what I can do then is I would go ahead and increase my food to 0.5, I'd increase my Predator to 0.5, and I'd increase my health to 0.5. And so now I'd have that, and everybody can see what level those things are at. And then I'd hand the rest of these cards over to the person over there. I keep these here, and then we go to the next turn. So I'm just going to, I'm not going to actually hand. I didn't deal out more decks of cards here. But so let's say at the end of all, I played honey, which adds another food. So I'd have 1.5. I'm just kind of clams to get me up to 2. And then because I already had wood, I can play the salmon. All right, so at this point, then I have my 3 food. Let me just fold these over to get to the 3 food. And so I have 3 food, and I go ahead at the end, and I look, and I see that I've satisfied what I need to get this food transport. At the end of the turn, I then would get 2 of these cool green stars. I'm going to go ahead and put those in my tray to show that I've earned those points. And then we go on to the next turn. Now, just quickly, I just want to show you what an obstacle looks like. You can see an obstacle has creative release. You need a 4 total tribal. And remember that if you had 4 tribal, that doesn't count. You need to have an increase of that amount when you do that. But it's like your tribe needs some creative release, some new art will appease everyone. And it's like you need antler, shell, and sinew by the end of this round. So there you have an increased. Not only do you need to have a 4 in tribal, added to any other cards you might have. So if this card, had a 2 on tribal, it would be a total of 6 that we need to get that. If this was 2 and this was 4, but we'd also need to make sure that we have cards that give us the antler, shell, and sinew as well. So that's kind of the difference as far as between the obstacles and the hazards, if you will. All right, the only thing I haven't shown you is these wild cards. Now, if you put a resource card, you just would discard it, and you'd say, I'm going to draw a wild card. When you take a wild card, you just take the wild card, and you turn it over, and you read it immediately. So a friend of the tribe gives you a gift for saving his life from a pack of wolves. You may freely play the Obsidian Antler Knife special event if you accept the gift. And so then you would go ahead and find that particular special gift, and then you would go ahead and claim it. Here, it's Obsidian Antler Knife, like so. And then you would just go ahead and put that on there, and you get 2 points. Now, not all of these are technically a good thing. You can run into some bad luck as well. And also I should mention that sometimes you'll get one that has due to savvy trading with other tribes, you gain the resources of carrots and chamomite. Your health level raises by 1.5 and your food level raises by 0.5 respectively. Now, to represent that, you do keep your wild cards in front of you to kind of show that you have that, and you've achieved that. It's like your other resource cards you'll keep in front of you to kind of show that you have those, but you also put that on there as well. Now, some of these wild cards, they'll have certain tests you have. So you face a ferocious crocodile or crossing some water. If your predator level is 4 or higher, you successfully overcome a predator obstacle, no extra points, and move up the following levels: 1 food and 0.5 environment, 0.5 tribal. So sometimes the wild card just doesn't give you exactly something automatically. It makes you you have to make sure you pass a certain test in order to actually get the bonus of that particular wild card. All right, so as I said, you go ahead and play this game. You go through 5 turns of the game. Once you finalize the last turn of the game, you total up the points that you gain from placing out your tokens in this board. You count up the number of points you get from your stars, minus if you had any negatives for not completing your obstacles and hazards, and then you go ahead and whoever has the most points wins the game. This is a fantastically fun drafting game. I enjoy card drafting a great deal. I love the theme. I like the way the cards kind of build off of each other, and the fact that there is a slow progression and creation of your tribe. And I always like games where I actually feel like I'm building something. But I'll talk more about that in my final thoughts. Alright, so there you go. That is Rise of Man Stone Age. As I said, I really dig card drafting games. I remember, I remember playing games that were card drafting, but I didn't know what card drafting really meant, strangely, until like Seven Wonders, and somebody was like, "Oh yeah, this is card drafting." I was like, "Oh, so this is card drafting." I know, a total noob, if you will, when it comes to the realm of the mechanisms, if you will, but. After that, I've some of my favorite games that come out have had card drafting as one of the main mechanisms. Blood Rage, for example. There's just something wonderful about the fact that you're making that decision. You're making that tough decision over the numeric cards, as I stated earlier, and I like that. And I like watching the person to my right squirm, or to my left in some rounds squirm as they're looking through their cards and trying to decide what they're going to pick and what they're going to plop down. And there's also that wonderful moment where, like, in a lot of ways, like, the first time you play, it's like, as you're playing them, like, you have those really, really easy decision card games, and so then, like, you have everybody else at the table sitting there waiting for that one person who's sitting there and, like, going, you're trying to decide. And, that's all part of the experience of playing a card drafting game. Now, obviously, I mean, I'm just talking about the mechanism here. I'm not really talking about this game per se, but I knew that that was the main focus of the game, the main mechanicism, as Keith would say, I knew there was a really good chance I was going to like it. Now, as I said, I really like games that I get to build something. If I can see, like, the creation process occur. I've always liked any kind of civilization game. I think it's a really, really good theme. I enjoy civilization games, whether they're on the computer, whether they're a card game, whether they are an actual real board game. All those types of genres or whatever, I enjoy that process. I enjoy watching the story arc of my civilization, my group, my tribe, if you will. And this is no exception. I really like the whole idea of, like, playing kind of like simple resources that then get compounded and changed and increased as the game goes on. I really also like the decision process you have as far as when you're playing a resource card, whether or not you're going to, like, ditch it and take a wild card, which, is weird. Wild cards are kind of like, they're exactly that. They're wild cards. But I found myself actually doing that when I knew that none of the resource cards that were there were really helpful, but I knew one of the resource cards was really going to help the person to my left. And so I would choose that card that would help them, and then, so I could ditch it, and then I'd play a wild card instead, and so then they wouldn't have access to it. And then usually that wild card would be, better than any of the other options that I have available to me. I really like the fact that this isn't one of those games where it's like you have, like, just as many cards as you have to draft. So, like, since you have 10 cards and you're only going to play 6 at maximum during a turn, I like that process that you have where, you're just like, there's going to be, like, a large number of cards left over. And, and I realize that's probably there so you have, like, you don't kind of get, the fuzzy side of the popsicle, if you will, with like, not having good options available. But I mean, there have been many times when I'm playing this game, many turns where, like, I'm throwing 3-4 really, really good cards into the muck, if you will, and I'm disappointed. I'm like, I really wanted that card, the last card that I played, but I'm throwing away these cards that I really wish I could have kept and played again. So once again, those tough decisions, that depth that I'm looking for, that challenge of the game is here, and it's here and very prevalent, and it's something that I very, very much enjoy. It doesn't hurt that I can teach this game very, very quickly. Every bit of that card, the resource cards are color coded for each different thing. The prerequisites are red, and that carries forth throughout the entire thing. The resource spread on green, once again, carries forward through the entire thing. So you can just match up the color codes with everything, whether it's on the board, whether it's on the card, and so forth. So it doesn't take a lot of mental leaps of logic to, like, discover how the game is played. It is made very, very well. So there you go. That is Rising Man Stone Age. If you like Civilization-esque games and you like card drafting, I'd strongly suggest checking this out. I think you're absolutely going to love it. So if you have any questions about it, please ask away. I'll be happy to answer those. And as always, thank you very much for taking time to watch this video. And until next time, I'm the Undead Viking, and I'm telling you to have yourself one heck of an awesome day. All right, bye-bye.